right, let's switch over to the NBA and continue our trip down memory lane. NBA on ESPN Twitter account posted a graphic of some of the best NBA teams since 2000 to not win a title. The four were the 2000-2001 76ers, led by Allen Iverson, the 2004-2005 7 seconds or less Suns, the 2011-2012 OKC Thunder with Harden, Westbrook, and Durant, and the 2006 Warriors small ball lineup. None of these teams could quite win a title. The closest were the Thunder and the 76ers, losing 4-1 to the Heat and Lakers, respectively. Still, the lineups features some big names, and all of them left impacts on the NBA. All right, Jay, out of these lineups, which one stands out the most to you?
Yeah, this was an interesting one. A couple of these lineups, that to me they're not all that notable at all. That Warriors team that came in as an 8 seed and happened to upset I believe it's the 64 win Mavericks, led by Dirk Nowitzki. That was kind of neat. But I mean, outside of that, I mean, I had to actually look back at some of these guys and say, oh yeah, those guys did all play together, and they were a nice small ball lineup, almost a poor man's version of the modern day Warriors with what they do and all. So that was real nice. That 76ers team
minus a whole lot of shooting.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. That 76ers team, we just got to put a little respect on Allen Iverson's name today. I mean, Aaron McKee, I think he won a 6th Man of the Year award. Dikembe Mutombo, he was won some Defensive Player of the Year awards. I don't remember much offense from him. Jermaine Jones and Tyrone Hill, that's a Google search. I'm drawing a blank. I really am. So shout out to the answer today. Those guys were the questions. Hey, I'm gonna leave the Thunder. I'm gonna leave the Thunder to drink because I know he got some sauce on that one. But I'm looking at this Suns lineup from 04 to 05. It was Mike D'Antoni's first full season coaching the Suns. I believe that was Steve Nash's first season with the Suns, and that was one of those things when we look at modern offense. That lineup and how they play really opened up the NBA, and that's what really stands out to me. These guys were something incredible to watch, with Steve Nash running the show, dishing out double-digit assists for years, shooting at a high percentage. And you look at these guys, Amari Stoudemire, Sean Marion, Joe Johnson. These guys in this season, Nash was the MVP. He was first-team All-NBA. Amari Stoudemire gave you 26 points and 9 rebounds. He was second team, and Sean Marion was all-around players in the game, came in at third team, averaged 19 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block and a half per game. Just outstanding stuff. And Joe Johnson, at 23 years of age, just putting it in for you, 17 points, 5 rebounds. All 5 starters averaged 15 points or more per game. Just remarkable. And you can't forget Leandro Barbosa, what he could do for you off the bench. Just one of those guys that could come in and just provide instant offense, fit right in with what you wanted to do. And as a team, they led the NBA in points per game. They also led the league in points allowed. Some of that was part of Mike D'Antoni, not coaching defense. Some of it was just pace of play. But offensively, they were second in the league in field goal percentage. They were first in three-point percentage. They were first in three-point makes, making just under 10 per game. And they were first in three-point attempts at just under 25 per game, which now that's 25 that's low. That's low. And then we see the Rockets come out and throw up 40 a game, and sometimes more than that. So they were really ahead of their time as far as offense goes and how they play, especially with just going up and down the floor, just really trying to outscore guys. And that was something to watch. And actually that season, the Utah Jazz averaged 9 3-point attempts per year. I was just looking up the three-point shooting. They shot 9 3-pointers as a team per game. Just remarkable. You can see how the game has changed in just 15 seasons. Yeah. But, I mean, we know ultimately their shortcomings was they couldn't win the title. They couldn't even get to the NBA Finals. Part of that was because San Antonio Spurs, when you get into the playoffs, the nature of the game is it slows down. And the Spurs in a half-court game, they're tight, they execute, and you got to give the coaching edge to Greg Popovich in that sense. But when I just think about overall impact on the game and how we see the NBA today, this Suns lineup is what stands out to me.
Make me want to do the salsa. So listen, you already brought me in with the 2011-2012 Oklahoma City closing lineup. I don't think sometimes when you watch certain stuff, they always use the line, "This guy don't need no introduction." Well, I feel like this lineup don't need no introduction, but here I go. This lineup comprised of one Russell Westbrook, James the Beard Harden, Kevin Skinny Legs Durant, Serge Congo Ibaka, and Kendrick Roger Coattail Perkins. And here's the deal. This lineup, as crazy as it sounds, this lineup was nasty. Now, I want you to think about that lineup, because these one of those lineups, when you hear all five of those names together and you think to yourself, what? They didn't win a championship. What do you mean they didn't win? Google it. Nah, I'm going to Google that right now. It's a bull crap. I know they won the championship. They was too good. They was drinking with sauce. And then you look and you say, I guess they did run into that Miami Heat team. I guess, they did come up a little short, a little razzle-dazzle. Listen, we got Russell Westbrook, MVP from 16 to 17. James Harden, the MVP from 17 to 18. And Kevin Durant from 13 to 14. Right there, enough said, this team was the truth. Offensively, they was the truth. And when you got all that talent, I would say this assemble was the Warriors before the Warriors. I thought, and the reason I say that is because one of the reasons that the GM and the owners and all those guys in the top of the head shed over there gets a lot of credit for the Warriors is because they say, oh, they drafted these guys. They homegrown. Oh, we drafted Steph Curry. We drafted Klay Thompson. We drafted Draymond Green. And then we went and got Iguodala from free agency, and that tied the knot with all these guys. Well, the Thunder, before you even thought about it, they said, hold my overpriced stadium bill, because we got something for you. Because we drafted Westbrook. We drafted James Harden. We drafted Kevin Durant. Oh, by the way, we drafted Serge Ibaka. And then we brought Kendrick Perkins in because we was a little soft and we needed some toughness. So we brought him on in. So they, like I said, they was the Warriors before the Warriors. The only problem is at that time, Westbrook wasn't much of a shooter. Serge Ibaka was more on defense. So he was your Draymond Green of the group. And Kevin Durant and James Harden was the shooters, but they didn't know exactly what they had in James Harden. So he came off the bench and, later got traded away, which leads me up to why a lot of people give Kevin Durant a hard time when he left this phenomenal group of individuals. And he said it best. He said, listen, I got tired of being the only guy that can make a jump shot. You take James Harden out of this group, that is a very, very true statement. As good as Russell Westbrook is, you don't never get him confused with a jump shooter. Serge Ibaka, that ain't what you're here for. Robinson or Sebalosha and all those other guys that was on it, they wasn't there to make shots. Kevin Durant was the only jump shooter. So when they got the other jump shooter, James Harden, out of there and traded him away because they didn't want to pay him, I think at that moment, Kevin Durant, that was when he made his decision. He was out of there. Win or lose, he was out of there. He got tired of being the only shooter. So to wrap all that up, hey, my lineup is this 2011-2012 Thunder closing lineup. Them boys was bad. They should have had a championship together too. You know what I'm saying? Waving that flag. They should have had a championship. And then I just want to hit on these other teams. We talked about the Warriors. I was telling Jay this earlier. I tend to watch other sports podcasts or whatnot, and one of them that I watch is the All the Smoke podcast, and that podcast is hosted by yours truly, Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, two other guys that's on here for the Warriors small ball lineup. I didn't even realize that they played together. I didn't even know Matt Barnes played in a rotation that was this significant. I really didn't. I was blown away to know I always looked at him as that guy coming off the bench, give you a little toughness, tattoos up to the earlobe, starting fights. Hey, you got 6 fouls, you might as well use them. And that's how I always looked at him, like one of those type of guys. But I guess he had some significance in his career.
He's the guy. He's the guy that we'll always remember as fake throwing the ball into Kobe's face.
And Kobe looked at him like, "Nah, I'm gonna drop 63." So, and then that 2001, the 2001 76ers final team. Hey, you said it. It was a whole lot of questions, and it was only one answer. It was a multiple choice, but boy, could I use more answers, right? And I would give Tyrone Hill this. I would give Tyrone Hill this credit. Tyrone Hill was on that Indiana team. I want to say I want to say this year probably was his first or second year with the 76ers, because he was on those old Indiana teams back when Reggie Miller was still playing that was making it to the finals. I remember his name specifically on that because the guy's a pretty remarkable looking guy. But the thing about that team is that team, Iverson gave us one of the best, I would say the second best NBA final moment behind the old Jordan, Brian Russell push off, holla at your boy, going off into retirement. I would say that step over that Allen Iverson did to Tyronn Lue in that game 1 of that series, where he just absolutely put the team on his shoulders and they won, and then it was just over from that point on. That, I would say, is the second most remarkable and viewed finals moment behind Jordan. So I want to, put a little sauce, put a little respect on AI name on that one.
Yeah, these 4 teams, what's interesting is, 3 of them anyway, all lost to some, not like full dynasties, but they're like teams that had a long, prolonged stretch of like really good basketball. The LeBron and Wade's Heat. The Suns lost to the Spurs, despite Stoudemire dropping like 37 a game. And of course, Allen Iverson and crew lost to Kobe and Shaq's, Lakers. The Warriors actually lost to the Deron Williams, Andre Karolinko Jazz, who then lost to the Spurs anyway. So. But yeah, these teams, man, I'm going to lean towards the Suns on this one as well, just because, again, that you're talking about a complete revolution of the game, and they were years early. When you looked at how a lot of teams had built back then, they were either built around like that gritty team defense, say like, the 04 Pistons, right? Or you have big men anchoring, Shaq, Duncan, etc. These big men were anchoring these teams, and that's kind of what they played around. Well, the Suns said, forget all that. We're just going to do it completely different. And it wasn't just hey, we got some dudes, we're going to try something a little different. They committed to this, and it wasn't just a thing they just tried for a while. This was a full on, no, we're going to tear the frame and foundation out, and this is what we're building off of. And it was one thing that was really remarkable about the team was how well that Nash Stoudemire pick and roll went. I remember watching Amari Stoudemire. I mean, that guy, I think the only thing it would be, you could compare him to probably Anthony Davis in a lot of ways during his prime, except he doesn't shoot as well from the 3-point line. But that pick and roll, that was just they were getting comparisons like some of the best all-time duos when it came to that. And they did it for a few years before injuries really kind of derailed him. But yeah, you're talking about, again, like Jay said, a team that led the league in almost every offensive category. And they also led the league in rebounds. And they were a middle-of-the-road defensive team. A lot of people think, oh, well, they were just some bunch of dudes running around and whatever. But they actually were middle of the road in defense, which is surprising. But I think that they're the most impactful team just because, you're talking about like they literally altered the future of the NBA, and they were years ahead of what we see now across the league. I mean, teams like the Warriors that are doing it now, the Rockets are doing the same thing, which, okay, it's D'Antoni, so of course they're going to do it. But yeah, I would have to say as far as the most impact goes, it would be these guys, only because these other teams, they're kind of like footnotes, especially the 76ers and Warriors. The Thunder were remarkable just because of who they had and how much they underachieved. But yeah, you're not kidding, Drink. A lot of NBA fans nowadays, hey, Westbrook, Harden, and Durant are on the same team. What? No, that's impossible. And that just, I guess, speaks to institutions that let that kind of talent get away. But another conversation for another day. But yeah, I would go with the 04, 05 Suns for this one as the most impactful one.
And I just wanted to say to your point about Mike D'Antoni, right? You said they was in the middle of the pack in defense, and people assume that they don't play defense. The same thing he gets done to them now. When Chris Paul was with Houston, Mike ain't playing on defense, and then you look, you're like, well, they like top 15 in defense, man. I think they doing a little something. Nah, Mike did Tony. So that just show you how a reputation can just follow you for your whole career, whether you're doing right or wrong. It just follows you.